Hey, how's it going? My name is Benji, and welcome back to my channel. This is another video in a series of videos I've been making about trying to find the perfect live hardware setup for myself. And I think that this is the best I've gotten it to this point. So that's great. I'm actually really excited about what I've been able to do with the setup that I've created. It is not a perfect setup though. There are still problems that I have, and I will be discussing those as I go along. To do a little bit of a recap, I've been going on a bit of a journey. I have 2 full videos about this that you can definitely watch. But just to recap a little bit on the last video, I essentially brought my entire studio out to do a filmed set. And the only reason I could do that was because I was the only person playing, and it wasn't for like an audience, it was for cameras. So I could spend an absurd amount of time setting up all my gear. I have a gig coming up though in about 2 weeks, and I do not have that opportunity at this gig. I am going to be first in a group, so I might have a little bit more setup time, but I need to be able to tear down pretty quickly. So I set myself up with a rule, and that rule was no more than 3 boxes on the table. So let's just kind of get into what I've decided to choose. So if you've been following me for a bit, you know I've been getting very into the Electron workflow, so I don't think there's too much surprise here that I'm taking my Octatrack and my Syntakt both out. I love these pieces of gear. They can both do a whole heck of a lot, as well as I'm bringing the 1010 Music Blue Box. Now, I know that I could be mixing into the Octatrack. There's 2 reasons why I'm not using the Octatrack as a mixer. The most important reason is I wanted more tracks on the Octatrack. And if you're not familiar with the Octatrack, how it works is you have 8 tracks that can be anything. And right now I'm kind of limiting myself a little bit with the Octatrack, and I'm mostly just using it for stem playback and one-shot sample playback. I wanted to get as many open tracks as I could just so I would have a little bit more flexibility. Second reason is mainly because I find it a little easier to mix between 2 devices than into a device and then kind of work from there. I kind of look at the things in a little bit more of like, I can set kind of different compression thresholds at the master end of a chain, but I can still bring entire levels of certain boxes up and down if I need to. It just makes things run a little bit easier for me and my workflow. But let me talk to you a little bit about how I'm planning on using these. So this set is going to be very different from my last set. My last set was experimental. It was all about trying to create really oppressive atmospheres and, just kind of do something a little different than, what you would expect from like a band or something like that. This is totally different. I'm doing a techno set. I want people to dance and I want people to have fun. And this is allowing me to do that in a really fun way. So here's a brief example of what I'm working on. You can go find a more fleshed out version that I've put on a SoundCloud, but this is just kind of the basic idea. So that's that. I really like this setup for a lot of reasons. So first things first, because things are separated, I'm able to kind of work on the two machines independently, and I've kind of set up both machines so they kind of have a little bit of overlap, so they can be autonomous if you take that other machine out. So for instance, let's go back to this. There's a lot happening. If I need to, I'm losing a little bit of punch. I'm losing a little bit of punch in one of my kick drums, but if I need to set something up, I can take this entire machine out, let this machine do its thing. Same thing goes in the opposite way, where like for the intro of this, Syntakt's off. So I've got time to play between things. I don't have to rely on everything being right the first time. And that's super valuable to me specifically, is to know that I'm okay if I need a little bit more time on one piece of gear. Now that does have a drawback to it, that being that, I am jumping between a couple of different machines. Now, because both of these machines are Electron machines, I'm not really having to get into different workflows for both of them because I know how to access both of them, and they're so very similar in how you do things that I'm personally fine. I can see how someone might have a problem with it, but for me, the way my brain works, it's amazing to work between these two machines. That being said, they're not perfect. Let me talk to you about some of the issues that I'm having with this setup. So the main issue, honestly the only issue that I'm having, is menus, is small amounts of menu diving. And it's not even like it's that hard, but it just takes time. Like, I know where I'm going pretty much by heart on the Octatrack. If I am like, okay, I need to add some delay on my snare, I'm on my delay page. If I need to add saturation to my kick, there we go. I've got the filter set up so I can add a little bit more distortion, and then I can compensate on the volume end with it. So, like, it's doable, and it's not hard to remember, but it's multiple steps. There's not just like a thing where I'm like, oh, I want distortion. Let me turn this knob that says distortion on it. I want to send this to a delay. Let me just turn up my delay send knob. Like, there's so many tracks in both of these boxes that they just can't possibly have knob per function. So I kind of need to jump through a couple small menus. And that can be a problem, more of a problem in different sets. In this set I'm playing right now, it actually kind of works to my advantage because it makes me kind of think about how I'm approaching things, and I don't feel the need to quickly change a lot of things up because I know that's not going to sound smooth. So it lets me, it puts me into a mindset where I'm actually making things change and evolve more slowly, and that's a thing that I personally really like. It is not always the best thing for a set, though. And I can definitely see myself in a future set getting really, really annoyed with certain things like this, specifically with like sending different tracks to delays. There are solutions to these problems, but with every solution, there's always compromise. First solution, MIDI controller. Just get something that I can assign to different parameters on different tracks and have them do their thing. And that's more likely than not the thing that I'm going to do. The issue is finding MIDI controllers that will actually, kind of work for me and my size and form factor that I'm working with, that aren't like ridiculously overpriced. Another option would be to sort of break this 3-box rule that I set for myself and bring on some effects and kind of set up the cue outs on the Octatrack setup, the cue out on the blue box, and just kind of have those tracks to be able, ready to send anything at a moment's notice. If I hit the cue button on the Octatrack, now it's sending to the cue output as well, and I'm getting these cool things. That's great, and that also might be a thing that I do in the future. That's probably a thing I'm going to do in the future before I start heading over to MIDI and all of that good stuff. The one problem with that is I can't do that on the Syntakt because Syntakt only has the 2 outs. But I would still love to be able to use it on the Octatrack, so it's not like it's killing me. But then it would also break my 3 boxes rule that I'm setting for myself. And the reason why I'm actually kind of adamant about keeping it to 3 boxes is I want to be focused. I've noticed that when I have a lot of things, I want to touch everything on the desk. I want to, if I have a delay pedal over there, I keep thinking, oh, I want to do this with it. I want to do that with it. I want to send it into oscillation. I want to mess with the time. I want to tap in a new thing, especially if it's something like the echoes here where I'm like, okay, cool. I want to like set up like a loop and then like start doing things, and then suddenly I realize that like I've been having a lot of fun, but those tiny little subtle differences are not really enjoyable to anybody other than me. They're not enjoyable to someone who's trying to dance, who's getting real bored, that the bass line has not changed in 9 minutes because I've been just diving through this, And so if I have something on the desk, I want to make sure that I can give everything pretty equal time. And I think I found a really good balance with these machines right now, with how much time I can spend in each of them, how I can work between them, and how they can work to each other to sort of maximize the best result. The last note I'll make on this setup is that if I was to change anything about this, I would probably take the 1010 blue box and just get rid of that, make the Octatrack my mixer, and then have something like a sampler, probably a Digitact, just because, again, I can get myself in that same sort of workflow. But I would get myself something there because mostly what I'm using the Octatrack right now is one-shots. And one-shots are great, one-shots are fun. This is overkill for that. There's a little bit more that I'm doing on the Octatrack specifically, where I'm doing a little bit of resampling and chopping, and then I also have a stem track that I'm playing back to sort of remix into, and then I'm kind of resampling from the stem track. It's a lot of fun. But ideally, I would have this, and then I would balance 2 machines going into that, and then that means that I can really kind of separate all 3 aspects of it, where I have my remixing, my samples, my synths. So that's kind of where I am right now with this setup. I think I've gotten myself off to a pretty good start. I'm really happy with the music that's coming out of this setup, and I'm also really happy with the ways that I'm able to have fun with this. I was streaming with this setup, and I kind of came up with exactly what I was going to do on this setup yesterday. I kind of finally, I had been preparing a couple pieces, and everything just sort of fell together, and it felt good. And I mean, you can go back and watch the stream on Twitch. I'll link it below. I am so happy. You can hear me going oh yes, this is awesome. So I definitely really like what's happening here. I just wish there was a little bit more knob per function control with what I'm doing right now. But obviously, smaller setups, that's going to be a thing that you're going to have to deal with. But tell me what you think. If you have any suggestions, anything that you think would make this better, I'd love to hear them. If you have any critiques or anything like that, I would also love to hear them, because I am consistently trying to make myself better at this. If you have any other questions, also let me know. So that's what the comments are there for. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when I post this next video, make sure to hit that bell notification button. I've also got linked in the description a link to my Discord. If you're in my Discord, you get to see these videos usually a day or so early. I usually drop it in the Discord, and I give everyone the link there, and then I actually publish it the next day or something like that. So if you want that chance, definitely drop in there. Other than that, I just want to say thanks so much for watching. I hope this was interesting. I hope you found something valuable out of this, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Have yourself a wonderful day. Bye-bye.